It's the scream we've heard many times. Sometimes it can sound a little jarring, as though it's out of place. But the Wilhelm Scream is an essential cinema tradition. We're going to take you on a journey of the Scream's creation, to the films and TV shows that have included this delight. We'll also include some video games along the way. The Wilhelm Scream is that iconic that it crosses various digital mediums. Are you ready? We can't hear you. Alright, calm down. Jeez. It's time to have your noggin expanded with some cinematic history. In case our amazing intro didn't explain it, the Wilhelm Scream is a stock sound effect of a scream. Here it is in all of its glory. Does that yell ring any bells to you? To date, it's been over 420 films and TV shows. Not only that, but it's found its place within the video game industry. But how did this bizarre sound effect find itself as a cinematic tradition and inside industry joke? You're in luck. We're gonna tell you just that. To begin our story, we have to go back to 1951. That was the year when the film Distant Drums was released. It starred two-time Oscar winner Gary Cooper. In one scene, the heroes have to cross a lake. To make it interesting, the lake has alligators dwelling within. All goes well for the main cast of characters. They reach the other side just fine, but not everyone does. One of the people in their party is dragged under the water by a beefy lizard. As he succumbs to his bitey fate, he lets out the first use of the Wilhelm Scream. Of course, the actor that suffered this fate wasn't the one that created the scream. Some of the time in film, these screams are added in during post-production by using stock effects, but other times they'll call in the actor involved to have them scream. However, the actor involved in Distant Drums wasn't recalled for their character's scream. It's believed that the voice we hear is actually Sheb Wooley. You can thank one person for this discovery. More on that later. Wooley dabbled in a bit of acting. His on-screen career lasted almost 40 years. Yeah, I'd call that dabbling. But he's mostly known for singing the jaunty novelty song, The Purple People Eater. That tune went to #1 in Billboard's chart for a month in 1958. Right, back to the legendary scream. Wooley was called in after the shooting of Distant Drums to record some sound effects. He was acting in the film as Private Jessup, but it was an uncredited role. And from these recordings, the rest is history. It's also been reported that Wooley never received any royalties for the famous shout. Otherwise, we'd never have the pleasure of hearing the scream due to the price of using it. Or Wooley would be stinking filthy rich for a short yelp. But why is it called the Wilhelm Scream? Well, we spent days locked up in the ScreenRant dungeon to research the reason. We ate a lot of cockroaches. We're not proud. Back on track. The editor on Distant Drums was Fulmar Blankstead, while Oliver Gerritsen worked in the sound department. So that doesn't really help. No one in the cast and crew is called Wilhelm, but we do have an answer to it. In 1953, The Charge at Feather River, another Western film, was released. It's also the next time that the scream was used. In the film, a soldier is just relaxing on his horse and having a good time cleaning his pipe. Then, out of nowhere, a Native American soldier pops out of a bush and fires an arrow into the soldier's leg. The character that got the boo-boo was Private Wilhelm. He gets the privilege of having the famous sound effect named after him. Ralph Brooks spent most of his acting career playing supporting roles in various films, a big portion of which were uncredited. But due to the prolific scream, Brooks' contribution goes down in cinema history. 1977 was a big year in cinema. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh was released, and some little film called Star Wars: A New Hope. Apparently that's a big deal too. As the sci-fi epic was being edited during post-production, Ben Burtt was adding some finishing touches. Burtt was the sound designer for the debuting Jedi flick, and he was looking at the scene when Luke Skywalker was shooting at some stormtroopers. Skywalker actually manages to hit one. The shot stormtrooper then falls off the ledge into the spacey abyss. But the scene was missing something. Burtt had all the pew-pew sound effects prepared, yet an anguished yell of some kind was missing. Burtt went through the catalog of screams and came across the Wilhelm Scream. Only it wasn't called that at the time. It was just a random, regularly used sound effect. He did some research to find out more about this strange shout, and he traced the scream all the way back to Distant Drums. Burt looked into it further and realized that Sheb Wooley was the man behind the voice. Now, Warner Brothers was the production company for Distant Drums. Burt looked through their records and saw a handful of actors were called in for voice recording. One of the tracks Burt found was labeled "Man Being Eaten by an Alligator." He realized that Sheb Wooley is most likely the one responsible for the scream. In 2005, after Wooley's passing, his widow even stated that she believes Burt's findings to be accurate. And it's reported that Burt himself gave the painted whale its infamous name, the Wilhelm Scream. After struggling to name it from the Distant Drum sources, he looked into the next use of the scream. That's when he saw Private Wilhelm use it. Feeling nostalgic and also wanting to pay homage to the scream's impressive history, Burt decided to include it in the first Star Wars film. Burt wasn't done there though. He ended up working as a sound designer on every single Star Wars film to date. In almost every single one, he planted in the Wilhelm Holler. Burt took a little-known sound effect and turned it into an epic blockbuster tradition. It was also used in other Star Wars properties, such as the animated TV series The Clone Wars and also Star Wars Rebels. Even LEGO Star Wars got in on the jokey requirement. However, like all good things, it wasn't destined to last. In 2018, Disney announced that they'll no longer be using the much-loved shriek in the Star Wars franchise. Billions of fans sobbed into their pillows that night.
As if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror.
The last use of the hallowed howl in the franchise was in 2015's The Force Awakens. Maybe that's the real reason Solo didn't do as well. It was missing a vital vocal element. Burt wasn't satisfied with making the Wilhelm Scream iconic in just one franchise. He had to make it for another one. Burt had plans for motion picture world domination, one added Wilhelm Scream at a time. Can you name the other franchise that Burt squeezed in the squeal? We'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. The correct answer is Indiana Jones. If you got it right, give the video a like. And if you got it wrong, give the video a like. Thanks to all that took part in our teeny tiny quiz. Every film in the Indiana Jones series added in the Yelp at some point. Yeah, even the much maligned 2008's Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Steven Spielberg was also found to be a man of culture, as he added the stock effect into a lot of his films over the years. Besides from Burt and Spielberg, there's another key admirer of the Wilhelm Scream. Now, describing Quentin Tarantino as being passionate about film is a little bit of an understatement.
Indeed.
The popular writer-director has used the scream on multiple occasions. From the early days of his career in 1992's Reservoir Dogs, all the way up to 2019's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The Yelp will probably be snuck in during Tarantino's future Star Trek project too, fingers crossed. Beyond films and TV, the scream also crept into the realm of video games as well. Massive franchises like Mass Effect and God of War have added in the old Wilhelm. Even Mortal Kombat and Red Dead Redemption have gone in on the action too. On top of that, the massive, financially successful Grand Theft Auto franchise has had it in there as well. Many TV shows have added in the scream. Family Guy used it quite often when doing parody episodes of Star Wars, perhaps as an homage to Ben Burtt's work in creating the tradition. Weirdly, even My Little Pony used the scream. We're not exactly sure what sort of story involving ponies would warrant that, but it's nice to keep Wilhelm around. Besides adult animation, it's also been in a lot of other shows. Game of Thrones, for example, has used the Yelp multiple times. Perhaps why they won all those awards. Yeah, we can't even commit to that claim. The well-known whoop has even arrived in shows such as Lost, Community, and Outlander. And it does seem to be around a lot of award-winning shows. Maybe there is something there. But we couldn't make a Wilhelm history vid without talking about other films. We are ScreenRant after all. Talking about films is kinda what we do. Firstly, over to Marvel. Disney didn't only have Star Wars being littered with Wilhelm, they also plopped it in a few Marvel movies. In Avengers Infinity War, as the Ebony Maw is sucked out of the ship, we get to hear a slightly familiar tone. It is a tad strange to hear Ebony Maw squeal like that. We heard the sound in Captain America: The First Avenger. Before the film rights returned to Marvel, Fox let Deadpool slip in and squawk as well. But Marvel aren't the only superhero cinematic juggernaut to jump in on some of that awesome sound action. DC dabbled with it in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. After the whole Martha fiasco, it needed a touch of film history to ease that pain. DC also added the Wilhelm Scream into 2013's Man of Steel. Ideally, we would have loved it if Zod went all Wilhelm as Supes realigned his neck. Considering the amount of massive battles and explosions, the Lord of the Rings franchise was the ideal candidate for a Wilhelm Scream. The trilogy all featured the Scream at various opportunities. Even The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey added in the effect. The Wilhelm Scream is a piece of history, both in and outside of film. It's gone from humble beginnings to becoming a cinematic legend. It'll be interesting to see if this touching tradition continues to go on indefinitely, or if it'll fizzle out and be lost to the archives. What do you reckon? Comment below on your thoughts. And that's a wrap. What's your favorite time that the Wilhelm Scream was used? Are there any other cinematic traditions that we should cover? If you like videos like this, then click the like button and share it around the world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time, you pretty ScreenRanters.